Welcome to Homesroom. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin. Hello there. Thank you for joining us in Homesroom. Good morning, class. I hope you had a good day, or you're about to have a good day, or you are having a good evening, or whatever time of day you're listening to this. How are you, buddy?
We're hanging in there, homie. I'm excited for this week's episode just because it's a topic near and dear to my heart and my brain. So, but yeah, I had a first birthday.
Yeah, you did.
I had a birthday party this past weekend, and then he actually turns one tomorrow as we're sitting here to record this. So I had a tiny moment. I struggle so hard to be an emotionally available mother, but I did feel a twinge of like, this is the last night that I'm kissing an infant that I birthed goodnight.
Yeah.
Because I guess, maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but technically after 1 year, they're no longer considered an infant. They're just a baby. I don't know, whatever. But what's my little, he's going to be 12 months old tomorrow. He's already been wearing 12-month clothes. He's a sturdy little kid, but
I like the use of sturdy. That was good.
But yeah, what about you, homie?
Yeah. All I can say is making it from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed recently has been it's been a challenge. It is yeah. I'm currently looking at my emotional support donut, if that helps you out. So yeah. But no, we are on a interesting schedule right now, and I definitely have had a lot of just me at home and the kids and trying to work that out, and then running here, running there, and that is a super ridiculous grind, especially in today's world of there's always the need for one more or a little bit extra or a little bit this, or man, I got to go to the store, but I also got to do this thing, but if I go to the store I'm not gonna have time to do that. So yeah, it's been fun, I guess, is a not accurate way to describe it.
Yeah, and I love that you called it a grind, because parenthood, adulthood, whatever. Maybe I'm not trying to dive into a larger conversation about late stage capitalism or anything, but I feel like everybody's just so burnt out. We're all just expected to be on top of our shit and on our grind, and there's always something else productive or something else you should be doing with your time, or I don't know, maybe that's just my mental illness or trauma responses. So please feel free to disagree if you do. But I stayed home today with my children. It was a federal holiday, and I love my daycare workers, man. They're just awesome, and they don't get paid enough. I don't think any of our educators do, but yeah, it's very exhausting, like a hamster wheel,
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here thinking, these adults who live in vans and
Yeah.
all they did, homestead, or they're on a farm. Maybe they have something figured out that I don't.
Yeah, I feel that. Also, I should have said this at the beginning, and I completely forgot about it. But I was looking at it, and you should be able to see it in the screen. But right here is a little baby Yoda that my youngest daughter gave to me, and wanted her baby Yoda to go in the podcast space. So I was like, I'm gonna put it on my mic so it's somewhere where it can be seen. So we have a baby
Yoda. I love it. I love to see how over time, our filming backgrounds have changed and things have been added. I have my Christmas stuff and my stickers and stuff back here that you got me for my Christmas present, and it's on the agenda to-do list for me to revamp this bookcase behind me. Yeah. So Be on the lookout for that Easter egg. But
Yeah, your book's up there, and
let's go.
my mom still has your written book, so like I have to get that back so it can go back up there where it was. She
Ooh, I
she
need my
finished
Matt
it.
Holmes books. Yep.
Yeah. So she
It's
finished
single
it and then
there.
she just hasn't given it back. And then like legitimately, Courtney's birthday was 2 weeks ago, I think now. And she got her birthday gift, and then every time we've seen her, she's like, damn, I forgot that gift. And it's like, whatever. So we were over her house Sunday to pick up the girls because they were staying over. And she came out, she walked away in like a huff, and it came back and handed Courtney like this flower. It's like a black rose or something with like an eyeball in the middle of it. And she was like, I just saw it and thought of you. So it's like, yeah, there you go.
That's
I like it.
cool. That's
So
really cool.
it was so funny, but also like, yeah, decorations. You're not necessarily like I can see plants in your background, but
Hmm.
it is cold now, and I'm back in a room full of plants where it's a jungle, and hopefully lights don't start turning off and on again like they used to when there was a jungle in here and stuff was set to timers and all that crap. So, yeah.
Fun fact, Matt, and all of our listeners slash viewers, every plant behind me is fucking fake. Okay. I
That's a
have,
lie.
well, no, I don't have any. And so here's the thing about me too. So please, plant ladies, there's got to be a plant lady or two or a plant man or plant they, them, or whatever, whatever your pronoun is. If you have a green thumb, please fucking help me. I have a total of 3 plants. They are very durable. And then my sister, who has a green thumb, and she's just so creative. Her whole house is covered in plants. She sits down in my kitchen. She looks at the snake plant that's above my sink in my kitchen window, and she goes, you really have to put in some effort to make a snake plant of all plants look that shitty. Like they're supposed to be indestructible, and that looks like ass. And I'm like,
That's
well,
funny.
thank you. I don't know. No, I literally, yeah, all of these behind me are fake. And this is a recycled decoration from my daughter's first birthday, which was a garden party theme. So if you're just a listener and you haven't ever seen it, check out my Instagram or Matt's Instagram. It's gorgeous. Lots of
It is.
time and zip ties went into that shit.
So yeah. So I also remember something I was supposed to tell you that happened maybe 3 weeks ago now. I don't remember, but I was at work. I work at a school, and one of the things that I was like super nervous about was like that I'm a podcaster, and that like now I work at a school, and I don't want something I say on here to like cost me my job because my integrity means more to me than anything else. So if you're going to be mad because I said something on here that you don't agree with, and you're like, you can't have that job and come for me, fine, I won't have that job. Like I really don't care. I'm going to choose myself over stupid stuff in general. So like, nah, you don't have that power over me. But sitting there, somebody goes, "You've been holding out on us." And I was
Oh,
like,
God.
"What?" Like, yeah, you didn't tell us you had a podcast. And I was like, yeah, I do. And it's all due to the fact that I don't usually have a Facebook, but because it was our birthdays, I reactivated my Facebook so I could wish Courtney a happy birthday on Facebook and be that husband that's like posting pictures and sharing all that kind of stuff. So I popped up on there, people you may know probably or something. I don't know, your suggested, whatever Facebook uses. I don't use it enough to know. And I was like, oh, did you see it on Facebook? Yeah. And I was like, man. And then maybe 2 or 3 hours later, someone else comes in and was like, Mr. Quiet. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you're always so quiet. Who would ever thought you had a podcast? And I was like, God, like, yeah. It's like, I listened to some of those episodes. It's really good. I didn't listen to like a lot of them, but the ones I listened to, they were good. You do a good job. And I was like, thanks. And it's like, it's not that I was like hiding it. It's that like, it wasn't relevant to the job. So like, why like if I divulge that, it could potentially bar me from a job, I guess. But it wasn't something that mattered to like, it's not going to get me the job. So why do I bring it up? That's not how interviews or anything works, in my opinion. It's not like I'm going to be like, yeah, I like to get Charmin extra quilted. Like that doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
my personal life does not affect this other thing. So like whatever.
Matt, did you
But
just
yeah,
did you just compare our creative brainchild that we love and
to toilet
adore
paper.
and devote ourselves to weekly to toilet paper? Is it at least two
I did.
ply?
It is. It is. I said quilted. I said quilted. It's the extra soft stuff.
Oh
But yeah, no,
shit.
it was just so funny. And like to me, like one thing I don't want to have happen is like I already feel like it's kind of happened since I like changed jobs, I guess, but I don't want it to be like filtered more than it needs to be for whatever the reason is. And
Mm-hmm.
uh at the same time, it's like we pride ourselves on being real and being authentic. So I just thought that was a funny, you know, yep, cool.
Well, why don't we come up with like some kind of hand signal and you just like pull a Carol Burnett and tug your ear anytime you want to drop an F bomb and I'll just drop it for you. Because what are they going to do? Fire me from your job?
Nah, I'm not worried about that. I realistically, I think every every teacher gets so used to saying fudge and Merry Christmas or whatever like synonym you want to use for a curse word that like they clearly curse enough at home.
Yeah.
Because mine are recorded. I don't know. I literally just had the little kid came up to me today, said that kid that kid called such and such a bitch, and I was like, okay, what kid? I don't know, but he called him a bitch. And I was like, okay, but where were you? Over there. And he said bitch. And I was like, see, now you're just saying the word because you can say the word. And then I was like, can you point them out? Like, who was it? I don't know, but he's over there. And I don't think you should say the word bitch. And I was like, well, you can stop saying it now. So I'm pretty sure the cursing is good. It's more of the content, like, episodes we've had and conversations I would like to have on topics down the road that like I just don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, that's that heathenist motherfucker right there. So yeah.
Well, shout out to your new coworkers. You're an educator and you're not paid enough.
Yeah.
In that same vein, I had for the first time in over 10 years yesterday, Matt, I had dance practice. Friday is homecoming for my high school I graduated from many moons ago. And my dance coach reached out to all of her past dancers and was like, I want to do an alumni night. And I told one of my best friends that I graduated with, we were both on dance together. We've been attached at the hip all throughout middle school and high school. We were inseparable. And she was like, I'll do it, but only if you do it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. That's fine. Guess who bailed on me, Matt?
Oh, clockwork.
Well, she's doing mom things and, I get it. But in the note of educators, I just had the opportunity to kind of sit and pick her ear for about 10 minutes after our practice was over. And I was like, hey, like, have kids changed since I've been out of high school? She was like, yeah, they're dumber and they're more sensitive. And I was like, what do you mean dumber? She's like, maybe not dumber. Like, I think quality of writing has maybe gone down since you graduated high school, but they're not dumb. They're just making dumber choices. And it's mind boggling. Like some of the things, and I also asked her, I see things online. Like, what's the deal? Like, are kids really vaping in the bathroom?
Yeah, yeah.
And she goes, yeah, they're so stupid. They literally try to vape in my classroom and blow the smoke in their sleeve. Like I'm an idiot and I won't see the smoke coming through the cloth of their sleeve. Or like what are we, So my last question I asked her, I was like, you can tell me to piss off. But has your pay increased as it should have over the last 10 years? And I already knew the answer to it. And she said, no, absolutely not. But all the administrators in my school district got a 12% raise for this academic year. And that's not the first 12% raise that they've gotten in the last 10 years. And she's like, oh, my dance team budget is still the exact same that it was whenever you were in high school. I'm not paid more as a coach at all. And I'm finding like I just have a true place in my heart for educators and it started with the ladies that watch my kids at daycare. They don't get paid enough. Our tuition has gone up. Ava's been there for over 2 years now, has gone up at least $40 a week, if not more, since when she started. And now we have a second kid going there as well. And I kind of check in with the ladies there because they're also our off the clock babysitters too. Like I trust them with my kids in my home as well as trust them at daycare. And I'm like, okay, well, where's all this money going? Like I'm paying more. I'm paying you more. And our daycare workers and educators and high school teachers and middle school teachers, they're not like, where does all this money go if not to the,
Mm-hmm.
CEOs, administrators, and it's just something I'm finding myself becoming more aware of, especially as my kids get older and I start coming to terms with the fact that they will be going to school someday and they're going to be little spitfires. But so shout out to Matt's coworkers. Hopefully you guys like the show and have stuck around to listen to a couple future episodes to hear this shout out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
as we sit here right now, there's like 3 teachers I think that are under investigation for having OnlyFans so that they could make ends meet. And it's like that's
one of them's from Missouri.
Yeah, correct. And I think that is super unfortunate that we're in that position. And I think that parents should take a, thinking pill on the fact that like our teachers are in that situation to begin with. Like, mm-hmm. I think one of the things that makes me most disappointed is like a teacher with 3 kids and, a husband that works maybe gets a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning to themselves. And that's because of how much work they're going to have to do to prep for school for the next week. And then on top of that, they don't get paid well enough that they maybe supplement their income with, working sporting events or going and doing volunteer work at a church or something to try and make a little bit of extra money just so that they can, afford to do these things. Mm-hmm. And, that's not even the teachers that are, spending their own money on supplies and projects and things to help your kid in school do better, have more fun, enjoy what they do. And when it comes down to it, the thing that I always want to point out is like, you do realize that in a lot of cases, these teachers are spending more time with your kid than you are, mm-hmm. yet you don't want them to be paid well. Your biggest concern is, well, you can't have a personal life at all.
Well, personal life or parents and all of the things that the algorithm has shown me about teachers being placed on administrative leave for having an OnlyFans account, which when this airs, this will maybe be old news by the time you all hear this conversation. It's all been overwhelmingly supportive for the teachers, mm-hmm. and also asking questions of, well, who found the content and reported it to the school district? It probably was not any of the Missouri teachers' 4th graders. If it is, right. we got larger fucking problems than her OnlyFans. If there's a 4th grader that knows how to use and pays for OnlyFans, okay, there's already larger issues in that situation. But I don't know. The Missouri teacher I've been following just because I have friends who are educators here in Missouri. I know something along the lines of what they get paid and what they deserve to be paid and what they don't get paid. And that teacher, she's on administrative leave. She was quoted at one of our local newspapers. She gave a comment and she was like, I've gained over 100 new subscribers and doubled my monthly rate on OnlyFans since the story broke. So,
So, I'll ask you
chase
this
your
one.
back.
So this is such an interesting. How do you feel about the police officer who pulled over the guy and turned out he was a subscriber of hers, and then he felt like he couldn't take her seriously because of it? I thought that that was such an interesting dynamic, and she was placed on administrative leave while they're doing whatever investigation, I assume. But the problem there for me isn't that there's like she shouldn't be able to do whatever she wants to do, but at what point in time does a Leo have the the concern of not being taken seriously? Because I wouldn't have thought about it that way, except for that's what the guy said when questioned, because like I don't remember what the traffic stop was, and I
Do
was
you
like,
know where this was?
I want to say it was in Minnesota or Michigan. I feel like it started with an M. I heard it on the radio, so it wasn't.
Minneapolis.
Yeah. So like, I didn't see M. So I didn't want to. I couldn't remember what the whole story was, and that was in the morning. And by the end of the day, like I said, it's been some struggles. So my brain from the morning to the night is not it's not there.
So this was in the last 2 weeks. You are correct. And I'm only looking this up right now because this is actually the first that I've heard of it. But it already touches base on so many hypothetical,
Yeah,
theoretical conversations that I have with recruits at the police academy when I'm teaching there. So Minneapolis PD officer outed as OnlyFans model after she pulled over a driver who turned out to be one of her subscribers. The investigation into her moonlighting is to determine if she broke any of the police department's policies or guidelines by having an OnlyFans account. So a couple things straight off the dome. I have conversation with police recruits about your visibility online, your personal identifying information online, give examples of officers that have been doxxed. But I also have a conversation with them about their department using social media, because in the digital age, community has moved online. So using social media is considered by most to be a new form of community policing. And your police department taking a picture of you in your uniform with your badge and your last name, your badge number and your last name showing is not really any different than you walking around in the community that you serve and protect with your police uniform on. So that's one side of it. First of all, what are the odds? Also, I don't know what the population of Minneapolis is or how many subscribers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what my initial thought was. Damn, how popular are you? And do they know? Or like, is it like Instagram showed you because you're local? So like you found her through social media because it was a local thing, and the algorithm just got you. Like, I don't know. It's like you said, so many hypotheticals came to my mind, but
if that was even how they were connected, subscriber to OnlyFans account, what are the odds that that's the exact cop that pulls you over?
That pulls you over, yeah.
And then also, I can understand the administrative investigation side of this a little bit already. Several questions. How does he recognize her from OnlyFans? Is she posting that she's a cop on OnlyFans? Is she posting on OnlyFans on Uncle Sam's dime? Is she is it just dumb luck that he happened to recognize her fully clothed and in a completely different setting? Or does she market herself as a cop online? So I don't know. That's very I, as a woman, would have immediately, my brain ran to officer safety concerns. Just because for a multitude of issues just inherent in the situation of a traffic stop, you already know that this individual, after they recognize you from your OnlyFans account, has a certain connotation and a certain preconception of you, your personality, and you know, I could understand why somebody might struggle to see an OnlyFans model serving in their official capacity. I also think you're a complete idiot if you are not understanding the gravity of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
When you have lights and sirens, a fucking squad car rolling up code 10, whoop, whoop, behind you, there's a certain, like, I am also vocal processor. I'm walking away from this soapbox with more questions than I do
Yeah, so that's what's
answers.
weird. So let me ask you this. Follow up to your, like, is she marketing herself as a police officer? So if she has on, like, sexy cop lingerie, does that, in your professional opinion, I'm asking about your personal opinion too, but does that, in your professional opinion, equal because her occupation actually is a cop?
Hmm. I love this. Because I'm going to give you my favorite criminal justice answer, which is it depends. It depends because it doesn't matter what my perception of it is. It doesn't matter what the arrestee's perception is. What matters is the administrative perception and what their social media policy actually says, what the verbiage is, which is why law enforcement departments, state governments, city governments hire lawyers to review policy language to make sure that it stays updated, all of those things, but also so that if Minneapolis PD makes the determination that they're going to fire this police officer because of whatever it is, they need to make sure that it's inside the scope of their social media policy that existed at that date. Moving forward, if they want to, they can say whatever the hell they want in their social media policy. You cannot have an OnlyFans account. I mean, she could also turn around and sue the city and say that
Mm-hmm.
that's not a valid or legal policy for you to have. Whatever. Here I am rabbit holing. Man.
Well, it's such an interesting conversation, and
I literally didn't even know that this was a thing until you just opened your mouth and said OnlyFans cop.
yeah.
But my immediate knee-jerk reaction is that if she says and tells them, I don't do OnlyFans-ish on the clock, and nowhere on there have I ever identified as a Minneapolis Police Department officer, you
Yeah.
know? But then we get into a whole host of other theoretical conversations that I pose with the academy recruits, where being in public service and being in public safety as a law enforcement officer, first responder, whatever, you are still representing your department even when you're not wearing the uniform. Fair
Mm-hmm.
or not, unfair or not. That's the case. So especially in small towns, and I think maybe that's
Absolutely.
just more so where I'm coming from because
Mm-hmm.
I teach people that usually end up being police officers in small towns. So I don't know. Maybe I would have had a different conversation like this with Denver Police Department recruits, or at least the responses would have been a little bit different. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep tabs on that one and maybe revisit and rehash this conversation again whenever it comes time that administrative investigation has come to a head and they've reached a conclusion and either she's allowed to keep her job. I can tell you that from past examples, when you Google that officer's name or moving forward, that person, she's only going to be known as the OnlyFans cop for a very long
Correct.
time.
Correct. I think it's just we live in such an interesting world, like you said, with the internet and community being online, that, like, in this particular instance, it ordinarily I'd be like, I mean, if she wasn't doing it on the clock, then I see no issue with the situation, except for the fact that the person that got pulled over made the comment of he couldn't take her serious. And I think that that is such a, like, it brought up such an interesting, like, well, what happens if it was something more severe and now she's being attacked in a predatory way because they recognize, like, and now is at that point, is that line of duty because she was on duty. However, the issue came from something outside of the realm of their control in the way that, like, didn't serve in the capacity of her job. And like you said, so many theoretical, it's just so interesting.
But
So
can we
interesting.
also, Matt, I feel like we're not going to do this discussion justice if we don't at least acknowledge humans don't operate very well inside gray area. We like things
Mm-hmm.
to be black and white because that's our
Correct.
tiny, stupid primate brains. That's what we can handle. When you're looking at this situation specifically, the fact that she is a female officer and also what some would call a sex worker, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many unspoken gender stereotypes, connotations, existing perceptions. Like, I promise you, in Minneapolis, there are going to be older community members who come forward and say, "This will not stand. We will not have one of them hoers, one of them hooers." What, I don't
Yeah.
know what a Minnesota accent is very clearly.
uh,
They're going to
Canadian,
have a
just southern.
certain, you know, they're going to have a certain connotation stereotypically because of how they were raised and because of the, conversations around sexuality that happened or did not happen versus, like, for me, like, chase your fucking bag, girl. I know you're not
Yeah.
getting paid median salary and for a Minneapolis police department officer versus the amount of shit you have to shovel on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Chase your bag. Okay. And come to find out too, I'm gonna also, if you would like to take a $5 bet, I'll bet you $5 that if they do fire her, she will continue to do really well on OnlyFans because she'll just lean into marketing herself as a cop. And,
Yeah.
like,
Why? Why
dressing
would
up
you?
as
I'm not gonna take that bet. That is a bad bet. So let me just take $5 off of you, you chump.
after
Yeah.
after we already had, this whole conversation about the Missouri teacher who's doing well on OnlyFans now. I'm just like, I'm proud of younger generations just because we have so many other things to be worried about right now,
Yeah.
and, like, I don't know. Okay, cool. She can maybe afford down payment for a house in Minneapolis.
Right.
Like, chase your
Well, that's the
bag.
thing. Is, like, I didn't look up the article because I forgot about it, except for the fact that I wanted to bring it up to you, and, like, that was as far as that, like, my memory went of it. So, like, I'm legit, like, I don't even know what this person looks like in order to be like, okay, yeah, like, you should probably stick to your day job because, like, OnlyFans wasn't your avenue of choice. No, you should go to OnlyFans because policing obviously isn't going to work out for you any longer. Like, to be one of those people, I legitimately have no idea what she looks like. I have no idea whether her OnlyFans is, like, whatever top performing thing. Like, I've not looked into this any bit at all, except for the fact that I heard it. But at the same time, I think that if they fire her for it, I guarantee she's not going to be worse off. And if anything, it's going to catapult her to, like, being offered more money to do less work because she's a figurehead. The
Mm-hmm.
cop that got fired for so, like, it is going to be probably, I would estimate, like, 2-3 years of, like, annoying out in public, one way or the other, whether it's being recognized in a positive light or being recognized in a negative light. But, like, man, it's just so, like you said, so interesting online community and what can happen. But also, like you said, I mean, dude, if you were subscribing to her OnlyFans, like, why would you do that? Like, that's, dude, like, homie, chill. Like, chill out. It's not. It's like I don't get it.
Well, he must have. I mean, he recognized her, so
He probably
he's been
slid in them DMs.
paying.
That's what I'm saying. He probably slid in them DMs and she didn't respond. So he was like, "I'm gonna get you." One of those. You're so pretty. What's your sign? And then she doesn't respond. God, you're a bitch anyway. Like,
Well, he's been paying those monthly subscriptions. So she's like, "Joke's on you. I've got, you know."
that's right.
So there's also going to be so many, like, there's just so many moving parts to that whole situation, because I'm just like scanning the news headlines. I'm not even looking at open source like
Yeah.
social media sites to see
Yeah.
what people are actually saying about it, because my brain hurts, Matt. I've been home. If this was at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and my ADHD meds had kicked in and I was at work like gearing up for some open source intelligence gathering, I'd be like, oh, this is a fun rabbit hole to dive in. I'm seeing headlines that fans and, you know, people online are actually defending her.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm also curious about is what the local community activists in Minneapolis have to say about it and what their perceptions are. Because if they already don't like cops, but they're also fighting a battle for sex workers to be viewed as legitimate, to more, you know, legitimize them and change the conversation around sex work, they got to be sitting on a steep fence right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it could, you know, those are also the same political activist groups who say all the fun sayings of, you know, fuck 12, ACAB, all of it, you know, everything that we saw in the aftermath of the George Floyd incident. So
Mm-hmm.
here I am divulging into academy instructor brain. So sorry if this is dull or not interesting, or, you know, I find
Well,
it
I'm hoping that
interesting.
I'm hoping that people have that are listening to this have, you know, an opinion and go look this up, especially because like when this comes out, maybe this case has gone further and there's a decision that's been made, so it makes
Mm-hmm.
bigger news. But also, this is such an interesting time that we live in, because the only reason that this probably even I like was heard about is because it's kind of local to the Midwest. But I'm sure that this happens constantly all over the country. You just don't hear about it because it's not important news to everybody. So I
What,
don't know.
cops being recognized as OnlyFan models?
Yeah, I think it probably happens more often. I would almost 100% guarantee that there are at least 4 nurses every week recognized as some sort
Okay.
of content creator. Um, you know, just in general, or you know, random workers. I don't know what your like explorer pages and like the stupid things look like, but the amount of dumb kids I see in fast food restaurants doing dumb shit. If I ever saw that kid behind the counter, I was like, I'm not eating here because I watched you friggin' throw ice cream at your friend, and I don't know whether you guys be cleaning or just throwing ice cream at each other. So nah, not gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm okay. That changes things if you're talking about women in general, or you know,
Yeah.
OnlyFans models, OnlyFans whatever being recognized out in the wild. That's one thing. Um, Cops specifically, maybe it's
Oh
a
yeah, I just
bigger
meant in general.
deal because it's cops, and cops are supposed to be viewed as, you know, there's a certain connotation about their ethics and integrity, and
This is an
not
interesting thing because, like, for me, I think that like I would I would respect a cop more who is a person outside who is not buttoned up to the T, because I don't trust that motherfucker because you're clearly hiding something. That makes me more uncomfortable than if I was like, oh yeah, that's Ronnie from Round Away. I remember that dude. That dude used to kick it like the rest of us, and then he got a job where he can't do it no more. Didn't mean doesn't mean he won't come hang out if he has the opportunity, but like I understand that he don't have the opportunity. So it's like, I don't know, for me, I understand what the point that you're making. I get it. I think I want to know that you're human. Like I said, people that I work with, especially that are above me, I don't fully trust you until I hear you curse once. Because if everything out of your mouth is fudge, you are liable to snap, come in and like, you know, have some like rage issues at some point in time. And I ain't here for that. Nope. Let that
Well, I
out.
can promise you that foul language for a cop is probably not an issue. Speaking from somebody who was raised as a cop, and all of you know how I have the mouth of a fucking sailor here at Home's Room. So don't write me up.
Right.
Teach.
Yeah, I'll try
Um,
not to.
but yeah. So anyway, switching gears to what we were kind of talking about at the beginning of the episode. What's the deal with our hamster wheels lately? Has
I forgot that was what we were doing.
yours been inhabitable, or
Not
how's your brain been?
so. I don't know. You might notice it. I got my hair's cut. This is
Mm-hmm. I
probably the
did notice.
first time I've had my hair cut since probably August. So like it's just been like those depression normal like hygiene things that fall away, like cutting my hair. I cut my own hair. So like it's just another task at the end of the day that I have to do, and I'm like, oh, I need to do that, but I got to do so many other things. And it was getting to the point where it was like, it was hard to like not want to lay in bed or lay on the couch when I got home, but there's so much that needs to get done. And like the way our schedule kind of works out, it's kind of like single parenty, where I get the girls up, I, do all that kind of stuff. And then I come home and, it's the opposite routine. Um, I do the laundry, which I love doing. And it was like taking me like almost a week to get laundry done. And that's not like me. My work room was like super messy, all that kind of stuff. And like that's not usually like me. Like my desk might be messy when I'm working on something, but it's like organized chaos. Everywhere else is usually pretty clean because I keep it clean, but as just everything all at once. All of our cars decided to break down all at the same time. So that was
Mm,
like a friggin' nightmare. And we are currently, one's in the shop getting a hefty repair. One is still dead in front of our house. And the other one is, we're just duct taping and bubble gumming it until hopefully we can get the other one back and can afford to not have to worry about, that one being down for a couple of days while I check some stuff out. So it's just been like, hey, shovel, fill up another scoop, drop it down. Oh wait, that's not dirt, it's the other brown thing. So
yep. Yeah.
yeah.
I totally feel that. It's kind of like this mentality of when it rains it pours. And I know that when my depression is bad, it's like I'm so extra sensitive to those bad things and those negative things, where sometimes something like massive, like a car breakdown, will be like, shrug it off. All right,
Mm-hmm.
deal with it. We'll figure it the fuck out. And then other days it's like, well, Jesus hell, can I just never catch a break? Does anything good ever happen to me?
Yeah.
Kind of
I,
thing.
I feel like
Catastrophe, catastrophe thinking. There's a
there
word
you go.
for it. I can
There you
never
go.
pronounce it. It's catastrophizing. So maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it. We're stamping it. That's the word. Yeah. I just kind of came off the like, I've been in an activated state or whatever you want to call it for so long, where it's just like almost that feeling of like waiting for another shoe to drop. And I think that when you're living in that state, that's when it's the worst with depression, because your depression is keeping you like down. It feels like, I call it the weight. It just feels like, everything on you is like 10 pounds heavier than it should be. So altogether it's like hundreds of pounds of extra weight hanging on you. But when you're in an activated state on top of that, because it's like, what else can go wrong? And you're hyper vigilant about all of those things. It makes it that much worse, because every decision becomes, you know, under a microscope of, well, what if this, what if that? And then you get stuck into, whatever other spirals. And then something does happen that proves you right. It's hard to, you know, bounce around that and be like, oh no, I'm just gonna keep moving. I'm gonna jump to the other side. At least that's how I feel.
Yes, I feel that too. Um, Larger question though, how do you how do you beat your how do you beat your depression? How do you win your depression? And um let me expand on that question too, because if you have depression, you know it comes and it goes, it ebbs and flows.
Mhm.
It's like a seashore, and sometimes the wave, and it's like the good old mighty Mississippi, where the flooding is just here and it stays for a hot damn while. But then spring comes, the water levels go down, and you don't have to deal with it for a hot fucking while. So is it something where you recognize this pattern of behavior and you find something for yourself, or you have a set behavior to like disrupt that cycle? Or do you have to just like wait it out and wait for that change to come organically?
Both. I guess if I had to choose one, I think I would say I waited out. But this is what's so interesting, and like why every time I've gone to counseling or anything, they're always like, "Well, you're super rational. You're high functioning." All of those like fancy terms for saying you're not you are capable, I guess. And they want to try like brain exercises, or they want me to try um mantra type stuff, because I feel like it's a nurture versus nature kind of situation. And while my nature may be, whatever symptoms create a person that has more likelihood of depression, because none of that stuff has been proven or disproven as, like something that you can be, you know, predisposed to. Uh, I think I grew up in an environment where you weren't allowed to not find a way through, and it was almost like every day there was a new thing. Every day there was a reason to fight. Every day there was something that was going to suck that you just had to battle through. So it's not new to me, but in this particular instance, it's like, this particular past whatever 3 weeks, I guess. Um, it was longer than that, but 3 weeks is like when it was really bad. Everything with the cars and all that. It was trying to remember the goal and trying to be active in, like, for calling a spade, I guess. We were at an event and Courtney was talking to somebody who has wronged me and did it in a very like shitty way. And she was talking to them and like having kind of conversations, laughing. And I was like, man, the old you, if that was roles reversed, you would have lit me the fuck up. So then I was just super mad about the situation, because it's like, man, I, like if I had done that, I would have, the whole car ride home, you would have been icy cold, and we would have got home and it would have taken me like 3 days to get any kind of word out of you. And then I realized it's not going to fix itself. I have to say something. It's on me to explain to her like why I was upset. And it's not that you were talking to that person that made me upset, is that how you didn't see how the effect of talking to that person would impact me, and didn't check on me when I was clearly, distraught. Like those were the more important things. And it took diving into that to be okay in that situation. So, it's like putting out tiny fires here, putting out a tiny fire here, a tiny fire there, until at least the fires are manageable, I guess is the best way to describe it. So like both, but also like waiting for some of those fires that I can't put out to just, consume everything they got to consume, and there isn't any more to deal with, or, they suck all the oxygen out of the room and snuff themselves out kind of deal.
Um, I I posed that question to you intentionally because, first of all, you're one of the most professional fence fucking sitters that I know. And how many questions have I asked you on the show, and you just feel like, well, I think, and I did that intentionally because both are valid, and
Yeah.
and my response is the same exact thing, and I have really struggled with depression, and in the past, not maybe like recently, but in the past. And what is really important for me is still to prioritize self-care. And when I say
Hmm.
self-care, I'm not saying like do a face mask and make sure my skincare is done every single night. No, bitch. When I'm dealing with depression, I'm waking up in yesterday's makeup the full week. Okay. I'm not even wiping off yesterday's makeup until I'm putting on more to go to
Hmm.
work and try to not look like a dead body warmed up. Um, I'm talking about self-care in the form of prioritizing sleep, making sure that I'm feeding my body and my brain good healthy food, because it's so easy to fall into like a fast food
Hmm.
pattern where I'm like, I'm eating my feelings, but I know I'm doing more harm than I am good in that moment. Like sometimes self-care is tough love, you know
Yeah.
not only to yourself, others around us, like I don't know. But I I think that both are equally valid. And also, it's totally fine sometimes. Like, sometimes I just need a solid 18, 20 hours to just veg the fuck out and not
Hmm.
do anything productive. And like, some might view it as letting depression win. I know that there are people that probably have that attitude. It's like, I'm doing that because I'm letting it win. And, you know, sometimes I just need time to rest too.
Well, I don't think it's letting depression win. I think sometimes it's knowing. I think anybody that anybody that says that, I assume, doesn't necessarily deal with like heavily onset depression. I think that anybody that deals with depression knows that sometimes you just have to pick your battles and know which ones are not worth fighting, because there's no you're not gonna like win that one. If you The longer you fight against that one, the worse it's going to be somewhere else. So like, if those 18 hours of just like vegging out allows you to interact with your kids and your husband, that's the battle that you're willing to lose for the sake of like, on the other side, knowing that like, if I do this, I'll be in a little bit better of a place to at least have the capacity to deal with them. And I know for me, like, that's one of them. Sometimes it's like, uh I just want to lay on the couch or get under the covers, whatever it is. And when the girls come in and talk to me, I feel like I have a little bit more, like, I don't want to say patience, but a little bit more like grace to them. And I'm not quite as annoyed as I was. I'm not quite as like,
Mm.
as jabby as I would have been, like, because I have those minutes stacked up in that bank, replacing whatever the depression is like taken.
Ooh, that might be a really great analogy for us to expand on in a future episode. Your depression bank. I like it.
Yeah.
I also really appreciate how he said that, let's let this be one of our fun rabbit hole episodes, and
Yeah.
rabbit hole episode it was. I We like just briefly touched on so many things in this episode that I'm super interested in, and I want to, maybe get some feedback from some listeners and see if they also feel the same way, or maybe I'm just being a dork. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do not have a that's what she said for this week. I just think it's really important for us to show up and just hear our friends out sometimes.
I
So,
agree.
in place of my that's what she said this week, I just sat back and listened to you talk about a really difficult topic. So, it wasn't that's what she said this week. It was that's what he said this week. So,
So ironically enough, today in the solo episode that I dropped for Halloween, uh, I had it. That's what he said, because you weren't there, and I was like, I don't know if those will ever make a return, because I don't know how I feel about it. And look at you working that in, and like awkwardly ironic timing. So yeah, but also I paid you a compliment, and because you weren't there, you couldn't be like, oh, but thank you for doing and having and giving. And you will just have to listen and take that compliment the way that it was given, and not be able to back it down.
I usually listen every Monday on my drive to work, and because it was federal holiday, my week's kind of thrown off. So that is tomorrow morning's commute listen. So,
Yeah.
um, But all right. Well, this was another episode of the Homes Room podcast. We adore you all so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Matt, for letting us into your brainchild and showing up and giving us all a space to learn and to enjoy ourselves. We're always having fun here at Homes Room, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a good one. Bye. The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.